to my channel. This video has been kind of highly requested and I'm finally getting to it, which is how to come up with story ideas, where to get inspiration for book ideas. This took me a while because it's kind of hard for me to figure out how to tell people how to get ideas. I can't tell you how to get inspiration or where you should get your inspiration from. That's very personal. You can get inspired from all sorts of things. I've written 2 books. The first one was inspired by my love of horror movies. I wanted to write kind of like a horror that had like a group of teenagers in it. Like this is my favorite genres. Like they always say like kids on bikes, like It, Stranger Things, stuff like that. Now my characters are in high school, so they're not kids, but you know what I mean? Like a group of kids, kind of found family-esque, trapped in a horror situation. So that was what inspired the first one. And then my second book, which I will pursue publishing with, and this whole channel is about, basically, I got inspired by a TikTok and then a TV show that I saw, and then I combined the 2 ideas that I had gotten. So inspiration can come from anywhere. And it strikes at the most inconvenient moments: driving, shower, when you're dead asleep. So honestly, my number 1 piece of advice is you just have to wait for inspiration to strike. I'm going to give a list of things that you can look to for inspiration, but you really just have to wait for the inspiration to strike. You can't force ideas to come to you. You have to let them hit you, and then you can build off of them. That's really the only part of writing that you can't control, is when the ideas come. You really just have to sit around and wait. That's it. I'm sorry. But here are some places and things you can do to maybe get your gears turning a little bit. You cannot force ideas to come, but here are some things that you can do to get your mind starting to think creatively. First tip, start with a character. I love coming up with characters. I'll just come up with them and they don't even have a story yet, but like what their journey's gonna be, what are their hobbies, what's their life, you know, blah blah blah. And then you can build a story around them and around the story, not to be redundant, of the story that you want to tell with them. You can kind of build that around a character. If that's something you enjoy doing, come up with characters. Sometimes that will work. My next thing is song lyrics, or just music in general. Sitting and listening to music and just daydreaming about, you know, either the story that I'm currently working on or just trying to come up with ideas is so helpful. It's one of my number 1 places that I get inspiration from. It actually might be the number 1 place I get inspiration from is music. Like I'll just be like cleaning my room, listening to music, and then I'm like, oh my god, that's such a good idea, that inspires me to do this, that line reminds me of this, and I have to run and write it down. So music is definitely a big inspiration to me, and so you could try that as well. Just song lyrics. You can look up playlists. Like if you want to write, let's just say in general you want to write an enemies to lovers, look up an enemies to lovers playlist and put it on and just let your mind run, and maybe you'll come up with something. Along those same lines of music is consume other media, such as other books, movies, TV shows, blah blah blah. Look at what your favorite books are, and try to decide what you loved so much about them and implement those elements into your own story. That can be inspiring. If you read a lot of rom-coms, try to write a rom-com of your own. You can use books as inspiration like that. Also TV shows and movies. Try to identify what parts of the book or show that you liked. Try to build an idea off of that. If you like Stranger Things, sit down and think about why you like it. Do you like the friend group, the supernatural otherworldliness of it? Do you like the experimenting on children part of it? Like, identify what elements you like and try to implement those into a story and build out your story from things that you love. This next one is kind of what I just said, but combine things that you love. Like, this is how June and Gloom came to be. June and Gloom is a book about a band, a formation of a band in a small summer beach town. Thank you. I love summer novels, summer music, summer shows. I don't like summer though, the season. I just like the idea of it. So I like summer shows such as Summer Turned Pretty, Outer Banks. I love the vibes of those. They just so feel good. And then I also love music, and I love the idea of like being in a band and going on tour. That's always very intriguing to me. So I was like, let's combine them. and have like a summer banned book. So you can do the same, combine things that you love. This is how I come up with a lot of my like original ideas that like really have not been done before. If you combine two things that have never been put together before, but you love them both. I'm also not saying that June Gloom is a very original idea. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's pretty original, but that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, like, let's say you love, let's go back to the Stranger Things thing. If you love the experimenting on children, and then you love Gilmore Girls, and you love the small town, everybody knows each other, cozy vibes, what if there was a small town with cozy vibes, everyone knew each other, it was cutesy, and there was an underground lab that was experimenting on children? Someone can take that if they want. I'm not gonna do that. You can come up with some pretty fun and different and unique ideas by just squishing things that you love together. And this also can help with motivation and passion and excitement for a story, because you will love it. My next piece of advice is to turn a popular trope or a popular plotline on its head. Bad boy, good girl, do a bad girl, good boy. That felt really wrong to say, but you know what I mean. Take a popular trope or a popular plotline and flip it on its head. Like if you took a popular plotline of a rom-com and then you turned it into a horror movie or something. Like fake dating. What if two people agreed to fake date and then it turned out one of them was a serial killer and the other one had to run for their life? Like turn things on their head, and that can be super inspiring and different and exciting. My next tip is like kind of a question to ask yourself, and that is, what's a book that you've always wanted to read but does not exist yet? This is kind of hard to answer because I feel like a lot of the time we don't really know what we're missing until something comes about. We're like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that. But if that is a question that you can answer, or like you've been searching for a book that's like this and you can't find it, write it yourself. My next tip is to start with a creative writing prompt. There are so many online. There are websites that do daily writing prompts. You can subscribe to those and they'll email you every single day a new writing prompt, and that can just get your wheels turning. There's also like writing generators online, which can give you, it can generate, there's like random town generators, which will just generate like the vibe of the town. Maybe the town has a secret. You can build a story around that. There's character generators, name generators, and you can use these to just really spark your imagination and get your wheels turning a little bit. My next tip is to start with real life. Take something that you have been through and turn it into fiction. I would say don't take other people's lives and turn them into fiction, because that's weird, but you can do your own life. Like if you had a relationship in high school that you can't get over, you could maybe write a story about that, write the ending that you want, or write a worse one. It can be therapeutic to kind of process things that have happened to you that way. I would say definitely fictionalize, is that a word? Make it, embellish it a little bit. Don't write an entire like autobiography, but again, like if you used to be on a sports team in high school and it was like kind of very drama and cutthroat, write a book about a sports team and write about the inner workings of that team, and maybe the players being cutthroat and mean to each other, and or the found family of it all. But you can start with something that you've actually been through in real life and turn it into fiction. And then my last and final tip, this has been kind of a short video because again, it's hard to kind of tell people where to get ideas from, but nevertheless, the last tip is you can start with a short story. If you're struggling to come up with enough material in your brain to write a novel, turn whatever you are coming up with into a short story instead. Short stories can be really helpful with learning pacing and plotting and all of that, because you have to fit a complete story in a small little package, and it can be good practice for writing a novel. Not that people who write short stories are practicing or less than. I'm just saying, if one day you want to write a novel but you're not coming up with anything right now, you can start with a short story. Also, a lot of the time I hear about writers writing a short story and then it ends up growing into a novel because the story was just bigger than the box of a short story. So yeah, that is all that I have for today. Comment down below where you get your ideas from the most. It was hard for me to come up with these because I just feel like it hits me. So trying to figure out actually where it comes from, I had to actually use my brain, which I don't like to do. Also, comment any videos that you want to see from me, any writing tips and tricks videos you want me to make, anything you want me to talk about, just videos in general. Please like the video if you did enjoy it, and please subscribe if you have not already. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a really great day.